and welcome to my book review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the third book in the Percy Jackson series, The Titan's Curse by Rick Riordan. Meow. Warning, warning, plot spoilers ahead, plot spoilers ahead. First, the plot. In the third book, Grover has found two new demigods, but in the process of rescuing them, Annabeth is kidnapped. Also, the goddess Artemis has gone off to hunt a monster and is now missing. Now a group of 5, consisting of hunters and campers, must find Artemis and save her by the winter solstice. The only problem is, Percy's not chosen to go on the quest. To save Annabeth, he has to save Artemis, so once again Percy sneaks out of camp. Now on to writing style. The writing style is still in the journal format. With the journal format, we get to see Percy's feelings for Annabeth, how he feels when he butts heads with Thalia, and how he feels when he meets each of the different gods. On to characters. We actually meet a couple gods in this book. First, we have Apollo, who is absolutely hilarious. He's like this quirky teenager who recites poetry, but is like a kind of a womanizer at the same time. He's hilarious. We also meet Apollo's twin sister Artemis. Now when they meet, they fight about who's oldest and who was born first and everything, and it's so funny. Artemis is this man-hating, kick-butt teenage girl. Artemis also has a group of hunters that travel with her, which are like her elite guard. Now the head lieutenant of the hunters is Zoe, who's kind of got a chip on her shoulder. Lastly, we also get to meet Atlas. Everybody should know who Atlas is. He's the one who was forced to lift up the sky. In the series, he also happens to be Zoe's dad and a Titan. Moving on to my likes for the book. First of all, Blackjack the Pegasus. Percy saved him from Luke's boat in the previous book, and this horse, this Pegasus, is absolutely hilarious. Percy tells him not to call him boss, but Blackjack does anyways, and he's just a hilarious character. I wish there was more of him in the book. In this book, we also get to meet more Greek gods, and we get to learn a little bit more Greek mythology. I also love how we get to see the gods squabble together like a normal family. They all have their little fights and, oh, mommy loved you best, and all that kind of thing, which is hilarious to read. I won't spoil anything here, but we do get a little bit more of the backstory for Mr. D/Dionysus, which I liked. He's not always just this grumpy camp counselor. We get to see why he is the way he is. And I must say, I think this is my favorite part of the book. We get to meet Annabeth's dad. Now this guy is hilarious. I loved him as a character, and I also love the fact that he's human. Of course, Annabeth's mom is Athena. But I love how we get to see how a human can also help the demigods in the war with the Olympians. It just shows that humans aren't just little weak characters and stuff like that. So I thought that was really good and really well done. Now my dislikes for the book. I really don't like the whole Pan story arc within the book. It feels like it's kind of forced into the plot, and I didn't quite like it that much, but I have a feeling it might become more important in the later books. Moving on to the Thalia storyline, I hated how her storyline ended. She's heartbroken after Luke gets pushed off the cliff, and she ends up joining Artemis and her hunters. It just seemed a little out of character for my liking. She's supposed to be this strong female character, and she just kind of gives up and goes and joins the hunters. And man, she was supposed to be part of one of the prophecy things, right? One of the kids of the prophecy. And man, talk about anticlimactic ending for her. I also really disliked Athena bashing Percy. He was good enough to save her daughter, but he's not good enough to be Annabeth's friend. Gods. The last thing I disliked about the book, there wasn't really any Kronos appearance. I was expecting with the Titan's Curse, I was expecting Kronos to be within the book. Of course, wrong Titan. It was actually more focused on Atlas, but I was kind of disappointed that he didn't show up, Kronos. Now some other topics. First of all, Luke. I have a feeling that the consciousness of Kronos is inside of Luke somehow. I don't know how that would work, but I just feel like Luke isn't quite himself. I know he's supposed to be an evil character now, but it just doesn't quite feel right. I really want to know what Clarice did on her quest. They just kind of left it open there, up in the air. I was really intrigued because they just kind of mentioned it and then left it. So I hope we get to find out what she did. She seemed kind of troubled when she came back, so it should be really interesting. Yeah, the two demigods at the beginning of the book, I so knew that they were going to turn out to be Hades' kids. Also, I don't think Bianca's dead. She was lost, but that doesn't necessarily mean dead. Maybe she'll show up again in the future. Also now with Nico, I have a feeling in the future that Nico is going to become the bad force and Percy is going to be the good force in the prophecy. Also, for me, the dates for Bianca and Nico being born still don't add up for me. In the book they mentioned that they were born before World War II. And any way I add it up, it just doesn't add up right for me. They could only be born after World War II, after they made the pact. So technically all three gods now have broken the pact they made after World War II. Lastly, I have a feeling that that girl who could see Percy that he accidentally tried to kill with his sword, but his sword didn't kill her because she's mortal, but she saw him anyways, I have a feeling that she may reappear one day in the future. And overall, this book was a really big step up for me. The action wasn't as overwhelming this time, and there was plenty of Greek mythology to keep your brain busy. So I give it a rating of 4 out of 5 stars, and it's a book I definitely recommend. Now on to the next book. Next time, Book 4 of the Percy Jackson series, The Battle of the Labyrinth. What happened to Bianca and Nico? What's wrong with Luke? What trouble will Percy get himself into now? Let's see. Until next time, happy reading! This is Christine signing off.